See this here, guys? See this best win? Well, it happened today. Best win of my life on chess.com in rapid 10-minute chess. I'm going to talk you through this game today. I had to battle some inner demons battling a much higher rated opponent. So in this game, what did we get? I come out, take a bit of space in the center. Now, this is something I've learned over the last few months. The engine always seems to say, if you can play this without too much consequence, put 2 pawns in the center. Because my instinct, what I always used to do, is play like that, just a solid pawn structure. But if you can, try to put 2 pawns in the center, guys. It sounds obvious, but I often didn't used to do it. So, this knight just defending this pawn, bit of pressure here, and then so they come out. The engine says this is a little bit slow, and I do the same thing again. The engine says too slow. And they hit my bishop here. And I come back to overprotect this pawn here. Maybe my bishop eyes this in the future. Now, let me know in the comments, guys. Why does the engine like this so much? Like, I'm a bit perplexed by this move. Just giving away the bishop. I guess we take back with maybe our knight. Hit this. And the engine says that they just castle. We take. I'm not sure why the engine wants me to go down this line. So let me know in the comments if you've got any ideas. I just always keep the bishop on the board. So they put pressure on this central pawn. I just reinforce it. Seems natural. Engine likes this, hitting the bishop straight away. Because this pawn is actually defended already. So this is a little bit more active and forcing. So they come out with the pawn, which forces a move I wanted to play anyway. I had this in the pipeline and in the back of my mind. I thought I'd solidify first, then play it. So they come forward, counter-attacking. I'm hitting this, they're hitting this. I just slide over. Nice. And then the engine likes just taking, and then maybe I can take this in the future. Because this way I lose my bishop. Here, this, I would have kept my strong dark square bishop on the board. So just a slight move order situation there I should have looked at. If I take like this, it's alright. I do give up the bishop, but I win a pawn there. Very happy. And at this point, I start to get a little bit nervous. I'm against a much higher rated opponent, and I realize I'm winning. I'm up a pawn. I've got this dominant pawn in the center. Maybe this is coming to reinforce. This knight is like a 5-point knight there. This knight's not bad. It's got a jump there, maybe. This bishop's a little bit weak, but once castled, the rook's going to be very active as well. So I'm quite happy. Here, I don't know why, I just thought I was losing this pawn. I could have just... Yeah, I didn't want to push because of this. But the engine doesn't mind it, because maybe I get this rook here. It's quite a strong rook now. But I thought I was losing this pawn, so I just pushed in order to damage the structure. And then here, I don't mind them if they're going to take with the bishop, lose the bishop. I'm quite happy. They offer a trade here. If I take, they just lift a rook. Maybe the other rook comes over, and you gotta be very careful. Don't let them start doubling their rooks when you're going into an endgame. I know it's against this pawn, which is quite strong, but especially if it was like on an open file, do not let them start doubling up with tempo. So I didn't really want to go for this trade. Maybe they can also improve their pawn structure, put another pawn in the center. So I just go away. The engine actually likes taking for tempo. Maybe this knight is a liability. It's a little bit clumsy. It doesn't have too many squares it can actually jump to. So yeah, and the engine likes trying to take advantage of this knight being a little bit cramped for space here. Okay, so I should have doubled up, like I was saying about just a minute ago. Don't let your opponent double up. Here I had an opportunity to put a lot of pressure on with this knight. With this rook, sorry. Like that. So they bring their rook, contending the open file. Now, there's this fork here, but they can just throw in check and then move the other rook. It's not an actual fork. So I just take this pawn and then take the rook. And I'm trying to think about, I need to re-centralize this knight and maybe get this knight out of danger, because I don't know. It's all right. The knight's all right. It just looks a little bit weird on the edge of the board. So they hit that knight, I wanted to come back anyway. So that's the second time they've done a move which which forced me to do something I wanted to do anyway. So just slight inaccuracies from this 1800 rated player. Nuts. So they come in, they're hitting this pawn. Now I thought about this move. I really didn't want to invite like a check. I couldn't quite see what was going on. There was a lot of maybe checks in that position. So this is coming in, but my king has an escape square. But I'm not too worried. Now I missed a win here. After this, I thought they had... Yeah, in my head, I thought they had this check. Obviously, I take it twice. But I was really scared at this point. I had 3 minutes on the clock. This is where my demons started coming out. I was thinking, you know, I'm winning 2 pawns up against a higher rated opponent. And now at this point, I was almost patting myself on the back. Like, I've held this guy like 30 moves in, and I'm winning. You know, I've done well. Obviously, I'm going to lose, though. So, yeah, let's just... It's not that I wasn't trying, I just didn't believe in myself, you know? So I didn't go for the confident fork. I don't know why, I just got scared. I wanted to trade down. Also, this knight covered any checks. I was a bit unsure about this. You know, what's going to happen after these knights. I was just trying to trade down at this point. So I lose a pawn after that. And now I just start advancing my king. And we're getting to a very tricky endgame here. They hit my bishop, so they can take if they want. I invite it. And now I'm going to get my pawn to this strong light square. Oh, I thought it was strong. I thought it was defended by the bishop. Why does the engine hate this? Because they've got this. Remove the defender of the pawn. And take that pawn. So now we're dead even, dead drawing. And I offered my opponent a draw at this point in the game. So my king is maybe slightly better than his, slightly more active. But yeah, there's nothing in it. It's just drawn at this point. And there's this classic tactic. Trying to push my king back and then win the pawn. But I can block here. I do so, and they look for activity against my king. A very long and tough game to play in 10 minutes. And here I just completely blunder a pawn. King's defending the pawn. Again, didn't really believe I could win. I was sort of worried about this rook. And what should I have played? This, not worried about the check because I just slide over. Maybe looking for this, but it's a draw. I just hang the pawn, and now it's still holdable for white, amazingly. Even though this pawn, I think, is a dangerous pawn. So I just give some checks. Cut their king off, I think, is my best hope of holding out for a draw in this situation. And trying to get my king here as active as possible. So there's a bit of sliding around. And after they give me a check, their pawn is coming down the board. At this point, I think I've lost. And they just hang a rook. And I know people in the comments are going to be saying, oh, I wish all my opponents hung a rook. Like, oh, 1800s hanging a rook sort of thing. But, like, you've got to put them under pressure. Like, this is like 50 moves in, you know? And I've put them under pressure all game. And eventually something buckled here. I know, a complete blunder. So I took advantage of that. And then cleaned up nicely with 20 seconds on the clock here. I just went and managed to get this position with the king's opposite. Rook check. Forces the king back. And that's the highest rated win of my life, guys, on chess.com. So, yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoyed that. I greatly enjoyed playing this one today. So I'll see you next time. Cheers.